His hand lowered slowly. "How can I believe you?" Tears streaked her cheeks as she looked up at him. "I swear by my life," she said earnestly, "by the spirits of my ancestors and the gods of our land. I am not lying. If you end me here, you end an innocent future as well. Please, do not let that happen." Ikena's resolution wavered. He thought of the young prince he had trained and protected, the kindness in the boy's heart. A long breath escaped him. Finally, he lowered his weapon and secured it away. Olido watched, hardly daring to breathe. "Ikena," she whispered, trembling. "What will you do?" He pulled out a dagger from his belt, and Olido flinched, but Ikena stepped past her to one of the trees. With quick, forceful slashes, he cut a long strip of bark off a trunk, and then sliced into his own palm. Blood dripped onto the blade and ground. He hissed at the self-inflicted wound. He then smeared some of his blood on the strip of Olido's dress that was torn at the hem. Next, he cut off a small lock of her hair with the dagger. Olido realized he was gathering evidence to make it seem like he had killed her. Blood, a piece of her dress, a lock of hair, as proof. Hope surged in her chest. Ikena's voice was gruff, but quieter than before. "I will tell the king I have done as he asked. I will show him these as proof and say that a wild animal in the forest took care of the rest." Olido nearly sobbed in relief, bringing her tied hands up to cover her mouth. "Bless you, Ikena. I do not know how to thank you," she wept. He stepped close and cut the rope binding her wrists. Her skin was chafed and red, and she rubbed them absently, still looking at him with astonishment and gratitude. Ikena looked around the dark forest, his eyes sharp. "You must run," he urged. "Run far away from Ichla. Go to some distant village and start a new life. You cannot return, ever. If the king even suspects you live, both you and I are doomed. Do you understand?" Olido nodded vigorously. "I understand. I will never return to Ichla. I promise." Ikena hesitated, then put a hand on her shoulder. He looked into her eyes, his face stern but not unkind. "Take care of that child. If it is a boy, maybe one day, but no. It is better he never knows, for all our sakes." He sighed. "I do this because my loyalty to the throne is matched by my loyalty to the prince. I pray I am making the right choice." "You are," she assured him, tears still wet on her face, but a new determination in her voice. "One day, if the gods will it, you will see that you did right, and saved more than just my life." Ikena managed a tight nod. There was no more time. Dawn was coming quickly now. Faint gray light was creeping through the trees, and the other guards would grow suspicious if he took too long. "Go," he said urgently, pointing further north through the trees. "Keep off the main paths. Find shelter beyond the old hills. The kingdom of Udo lies in that direction, though it is far. The people there are humble. You may find refuge. Now go, run, and do not look back." Olido gave Ikena one last grateful look. Then, gathering her remaining strength, she turned and fled into the depths of the forest, heading away from the life she had known, tears of sorrow and relief mingling on her cheeks. She did not look back, just as he ordered. Ikena watched until her figure vanished between the dark trunks. In the quiet that followed, he whispered a small prayer for her safety and for the unborn child's future. Then he steeled himself and began his return. He rubbed more of his blood on his forearm and tore his own uniform to appear as if there had been a struggle with a girl or an animal. When Ikena emerged from the forest's edge, dawn had broken. The two guards waiting looked expectantly, noting his disheveled state, the blood, the torn clothing. Ikena held up the bloodied scrap of Olido's dress and the small lock of her hair. "It is done," he said solemnly. "The deed is finished." She tried to flee deeper into the forest, and the evil spirits or beasts took her. There is nothing left of her to bring back. The guards looked uneasy and scared at the mention of the forest spirits. They nodded hurriedly, not wishing to know details. In truth, they were just relieved the task was over. Back at the palace, King Yudoka awaited Ikena's report in tense silence. Queen Chika sat beside him, her face drawn. Prince Anos was still locked in his chambers. They had not yet informed him of anything. Ikena entered the throne room looking suitably grim. He knelt and placed the scrap of stained cloth and cut hair before the king. "Your Majesty, I carried out your orders. Olido is no more. I left her in the evil forest as instructed. This is all that remains as proof." King Udoka picked up the piece of cloth, examining the dark red bloodstain that had now soaked in. He nodded, accepting it as evidence enough. The queen looked away, a flicker of regret crossing her face before she hardened her heart once more. "You have done well, Ikena," King Udoka said quietly. Though a heaviness hung in his voice, he felt relief that the deed was done. No loose ends, no more maid to distract his son. "You may rise. This task will not be forgotten." "You have my thanks," the king continued. Ikena stood, keeping his eyes low in a gesture of respect, hiding any emotion. "I live to serve my king." King Udoka signaled him to leave, and then turned to Queen Chika with a somber nod. "It is done. Finally, this shameful chapter is closed." Queen Chika released a breath she did not realize she was holding. "Yes," she said, but her voice was oddly quiet. She thought removing the girl would bring her satisfaction. Instead, she felt a strange emptiness, guilt gnawing at her. She dismissed it, telling herself it was for the best. None in Echla knew that fate had intervened differently, far beyond the palace walls. Olido still lived, carrying the prince's unborn child into an uncertain future.